Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. My buddy Rhett. I have her nut here for her. I am not 100% sure if my son's. I know he's going to bring his dogs over today. And I believe we have Frisbee at 2 o'clock, which it is 11:30 right now. Let's see. Look at my text. 2 o'clock today. It is 11:28. It is March 1st, first day of March. Generally, a lot of people consider this like the first day of spring in this area where I live. But we are definitely closing in. It is 66 degrees outside. When I fed the feral cats that live around our area this morning, or like 15 minutes ago, it was like actually felt hot to me. So it's kind of funny because, like, in a few months, 66, I'll go out and I'll just be shivering. I'll be freezing, but felt hot to me. Okay, so here we go. We are loaded up. We got our application. We've got this going on. We can hit add viz. Now, I don't think the problem is like at this point, like in the router, it thinks that I'm reloading the whole page. So it actually deletes all the memory, and it's like doing a hard refresh. If I had a link, it would not. But like at this point, I can add a visualization, but and then see all the things. And that's really, believe that's what we wanted. Yeah, create a table at data identities that shows the sequence table, right? So that's basically the whole idea was. Well, I'd be able to show this table. The longer term goal is to be able to click here, and then when we hit delete, and then we come back, all of these are gone. And it's mostly, for the most part, going to be just about trying to be like some trying to sort of take things that are just 100% abstract and turn them into like more things that are easier to reason about, right? Like was very difficult to reason about trying to delete things. So like, and then like one of the things that like next is I'm going to probably try to create a sub issue. I've never tried to create a sub issue before in GitHub, so I'm going to try that. And in the sub issue, it's going to be to delete ST animations. And the thing is if you have multiple, one of the goals. So in 2024, I built a really cool, like something I was really happy with, 3D visualization scheme like this. And there were some severe architectural flaws that made me abandon it and start from scratch. Um, but one of the things that I was able to build was like a really cool eclipse where you could see like the eclipse from the top. So like if you were above the sun or above the earth and you were watching the moon sort of rotate in front of or slide. I didn't have rotation. Slide in front of the sun and have it look like an eclipse. And that was really cool. And I could have like one that showed like the main thing. But the way I had to do that was by creating two separate um, visualizations and then recording them independently and then making a little one over the top of the big one, the little image over the top of the big image and stuff like that. And I wanted to avoid that. So what I did was like if you come over here, let's reset. If you come here, in order to avoid that, I added like sort of this other concept here where you come over here and you have these, and the general idea is this is called custom because the idea is I want to be able to say, hey, this is a big one and then this is a little one and then this little one goes over the top. So that's cool, and that would work really well. The only other thing is I will also want to be able to, so let's go, see, it would be so, man, it'll be interesting to see if I decide to create I don't know if I want to create a thing where I can hit back and see the tables. But anyways, the idea is that um, if we see the entities, the idea is that I also want to be able to say, hey, this animation applies to other things. So right now, an animation, oh gosh. So we go to entities. And see, this just proves, right, data. This just proves the value of this because I can't actually explain what I'm trying to explain without this table. So if I add two things you just saw a second ago, if you look at it in this other view, in the custom view, you'll see there's two of them next to each other. Well, this ST animation is 7, and this mesh has an animation of 7. There's no reason why this same exact this mesh down here can't have the same animation, right? So this could be instead of this being a 14, this could be a 7. And then they would have the exact same animation when the application built it out. Well, if I say I want to delete this visualization up here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I want to delete this animation. But I don't want to delete it if it's being used by another visualization. That is very, very, like, it's not too difficult to explain now that we're looking at this table. But you saw a second ago, I was trying to explain the exact same thing, and it was very, very difficult. So, like, now if I go here and then I go here, right? Like, these, now you can kind of understand that these two could have the same animation and they would be going the same way, but like, or the same, and even the same mesh and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to add a bunch of extra code when I delete things to not delete things if they're being used by something else, right? So I say I want to delete the visualization. Now I want to delete the parts of the visualization, but I don't want to delete a part if it's being used by something else, right? So I'm trying to kind of set that up. And that's because I really want that. I learned a lesson in my 2024 effort that I don't really want to go through 100 different kind of things to try to get things to kind of look right. If I have two visualizations or animations that are, or visualizations that are kind of trying to show a similar thing but from different angles. So that's that. That's how that works. So, anyways, we are to the point where we've made some really good progress, but it's time to do a commit and push and merge. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to just git add all because I know I've gone through all the code with a fine tooth comb. I guess I should hit it F12 real quick right there. Yeah, so we have these. I think we want these. I don't really like console logs in general, but I want them at this point. Um, so, but we may not need them in the near future because we have the table. I do think though, I'm probably, when I say data entities, I'm probably going to want to add another route for animation. So I can see a table of like maybe all the things that use all the animations and like where they're being used or something like that. I don't know. I can't quite figure it out. But anyways, I have all these added and I'm going to say git commit -m issue 22. It's kind of weird because like at this point, like it's obvious we're in issue 22, but like when we merge this into the overall application, it'll no longer be issue 22. Adds a table to see the all of the existing ST objects. And just to be clear again, just to reiterate, so ST is a concept that I came up with. So originally, so I changed the way my monitor is, and I put it a little higher. I think it looks a little better, and the lighting seems to work a little better when I have it tilted back like this. Uh, but I had to blow that off because my lower monitor is a touch screen, so it can really mess things up when I touch it. So, but there was like a husky hair on my screen. But anyway, but now I have to lift my hands way up. I used to be able to have my hands here and you could see them, but now you have to lift them up. But what was I saying? Okay, so ST, so originally I kind of, in the 2024 version of this application, I had a basic foundational concept, and the basic foundational concept was that ThreeJS would be the source of the truth. We would only have a single source of the truth, and ThreeJS would be that source of the truth. What I found with experience, because this isn't really documented anywhere, but what I found with experience is that sometimes ThreeJS wants to view the world in a way that's different than the way I want to view the world. And I have a lot of classic examples of it, but and I say them all the time, but ThreeJS wants to view the world in a way that's different than how I want to view the world. So ST is my vision of the world. It's the world, the truth of the world, the way I want it to be. And then ThreeJS is the truth of the world the way ThreeJS wants it to be. And sometimes there's gaps. Sometimes there's things that ThreeJS knows that I don't know in ST. And sometimes there's things that ST knows that ThreeJS doesn't know. And the best example is the look at. A camera has a look at that you set and it looks at that. And then that's it. It never keeps track of what it's looking at. They just don't have that concept in ThreeJS. But in my world, in ST world, we do have that concept. We have a camera, it's looking at something. And in order to make that happen, in order to bridge the gap between the way ThreeJS wants to do it and the way I want to do it, is I have to constantly reset what it's looking at. So 60 times a second, if I take a camera and I have an object and I'm moving and I want this camera to keep looking at this 60 times a second, I have to update where the camera's looking at. So, and that's just the way I want to do it. Now, oddly enough, ThreeJS has it set up just like that for something called spotlights. I think they're called. A spotlight looks at something, and then it knows what it's looking at. And if that thing moves, it updates it. So in for spotlights, it works just the way I just described, the way I want cameras to work. So, anyways, that was like kind of the other thing is like I want to maintain a lot of consistency between the way concepts work between things. So I want spotlights to work like cameras, to work like other things. I want a mesh to work like a light. I want all those things to work together in a consistent way. But in ThreeJS, they don't quite do that. Like I was just saying, a spotlight looks at things, but camera does not look at things. All right, so git push. And then like all those things I'm saying, like they're concepts that have meanings, and those meanings and concepts don't always have English words that match up with them. Like that's sort of just a reality we live with, right? We have meanings in English, and not everything that exists in English. So it's actually a lot of work to, but it's like lost work. Like we don't know we're doing this work. But to convert things that happen in code to English is very, very challenging, and not many people are very good at it. And that's why you can many, many times look at a bunch of code and say, I can't make sense of this. It's because, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's no English to describe what this code is doing. It took me a long time. It took me decades to realize that you can write code that doesn't have English. There's English that doesn't have code equivalents, right? Like you could say, oh, you know what? I want to write some code where my laptop grows feet and dances. It's like, well, that doesn't exist in code. Now, could it exist? Sure. We could have little robotic wheels and have a command in JavaScript that knows how to deal with these little, and the computer could do a dance. I mean, it's possible that we could make that happen, but someone's going to have to make that happen. And there's going to be hardware changes, all kinds of changes and all that. We can describe it in English easily. Cannot be done in code very easily. Cannot be done in code right now at all, right? Could we make changes? Yes, but right now it can't be done in code. That happens. And then there's things that you can do in code that cannot be described in English. And so you have to work really hard as a developer to craft code that can be translated into English. I would imagine that works between human languages, right? I would imagine that like if someone knows Spanish, like there's a way to write Spanish to where there's just no way you're going to be able to convert that to English. And there's probably ways to write Spanish where it can be easily converted to English. And someone who does translating, that's probably the true skill is like, okay, how do I reconfigure this thing so that it translates to English? How do I guide this thing in a way so that it translates to English and vice versa? Anyway, so we have committed that. I think we've pushed it. So let's go to GitHub. And let's make this bigger. www.github. Oh, maybe I have to type in GitHub. Yeah, GitHub Marty the Party. I haven't been here in a while. Did I? Oh no, I merged something for my other project last night, so I actually have been here. The bottom of it is on another screen. Try to get that up here. Okay, here we go. All right, this is my space and time project. Space and time. Oh, let me star that. Starred. All right, and compare. I have 3 issues. I'll have 2 issues after this. Okay, so now I'm at this point. So this is not how it works in real life when you're working with multiple people. But since I'm the one who uploaded it and I'm the one who's creating a peer request, pull request, I can look at the code right now. I would do that anyways because this is just a great chance to just kind of scroll over things and just look for any like smell test things that just stand out as completely screwed up. Um, but um, everything so far looks really good to me. There we go. And now we want to hit able to merge, create the pull request, assign it to myself, merge it. Only merge it. Like typically, this is when whoever's reviewing would review the code, but we just reviewed the code a second ago. Um, and then delete the branch. And then here we go. We still have the branch locally, just so you know. Let's go to issues, hit refresh. We're down to 2. Oh yeah, create a faster hashing scheme. That definitely is a delete. Needs all of the objects. Needs to delete all of the objects. Okay, so now this one, I think there's like a sub. I thought I saw that you can create a sub issue. Yes, create sub issue. Okay, I don't know what to do. Create new issue from scratch. Blank issue. Okay, so uh, when okay, delete any animations associated. And that's another thing. Right now, there's only one animation for a mesh or for a visualization. But in the future, I want to have an infinite number of animations possible. Like I don't want any like coding limits to the number of animations that can be applied to a visualization. So in the future, we have 2 sort of wrinkles that are challenges that are going to come our way. One is I don't want to delete an animation that's being used by another visualization. 2 is I'm going to have more than one animation for visualization, so I need to go find all the animations for a visualization. And um, that probably will happen as part of like when I delete a mesh. If I delete the mesh, I go find its animations that I do, and then I check to see if that animation is being used outside of that mesh. Then that's like adds another level of complexity where it's like, okay, so let's say I have multiple animations, but they're in the same visualization. Then like, well, I guess that's fine because like, let's say I have a light that has an animation and a mesh that has an animation, and I go delete the mesh animation and it goes to check to see, oh no, it's being used in a light. So then I delete the mesh, I leave the light, I leave the animation there, then I go to delete the light and I say, hey, is this being used by anything else? It's like, oh no, it's not being because I deleted the mesh. So that is so, but that's something I need to that can be very simple to implement at this point. but would probably could be really weirdly abstract and difficult to mentally understand. Uh, with so any associated with a deleted visualization, and but not if it is used by another entity. So basically, so these are so one. So let's add a couple details. One. Okay, so we went one. Okay, so the user deletes a viz, and we should delete the associated animation. 1-to-1. 1-to-1. But two. In the future, I would love to say near future, but I don't know. We just are, as we roll forward, finding all kinds of details we just never even noticed before. Um, I used to notice this a lot, like when I was a kid, and we'd ride the school bus and we'd look out the window, and then like maybe the next day I would walk the same path, and it would be like, man, there's all these things I just never even noticed, all over the place. When we're riding on the bus. Right now, like when I'm at work, I'm on a school bus. I'm just getting shit done. But now I'm like walking it. I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, wow, there's flowers over there. Oh, wow, that thing is crazy. But in the future, there will be each animation may be associated with more than one entity, and possibly more than one visualization, and not possibly, and more than one visualization. Okay, then three, in the future. Sure. Okay, so this is saying a single animation can be in more than one. I guess that's it, right? Because I was going to make those three things. This second one, I guess it. Let's just break that down. Entity, the future, more than one visualization. May use and use the same animation. And again, all of this is ST world. Like they don't even have animations in ThreeJS. So so that is just like this whole animations associated to entities and stuff like that is 100% ST specific. Um, okay, so there's that. We're gonna assign that to ourselves. I wonder if I can create a branch on a sub issue. I don't even know how sub issues are gonna look. So, but I'm gonna create my branch now. Let's just do that. Create my branch. We're going to check it out locally. So we hit this little button. We come over here. We hit Control V. Hit Enter. Now we're on our new thing. And then I'm curious. I'm just curious what this looks like over here. What does that look like? Ooh, ooh. Delete any animations. Yeah, okay. So it just looks like any other issue. What if we click into it? Is there any indication that this is like a sub issue? Yeah, so from my world as a developer, that gets assigned things. I don't think there's any sort of, oh, parent. Okay, so we do, this little parent thing is up here. So that's neat. So that'd probably be the very first thing. So if we look at a different one, let's look at the parent. Well, here one, this is one that's a standalone, doesn't have a parent, doesn't have a child. Okay, so, and I guess that makes sense. And then, oh, okay, and then this has the 0, 1. So anyways, it is a bit of a luxury that I get to sort of finish this one before I make my next. I imagine if I was a BA in a place, they would be like, okay, now make all the stories for the other one, and we are very likely to learn things during this effort that aren't part of that. Okay, so I feel like I want to try a new thing, and I've never done it this way before, but I'm going to go to the README. Make sure. Okay, so yeah, it's got all kinds of stuff, which I'm pretty sure is mostly wrong. But I'm going to add this line here. And as part of this, and this is definitely like what you would call gold plating or requirement expansion, I might actually create a new data table that's just for animations. But it's hard because I feel like animations have a many-to-many relationship, which don't really map well with data tables. Um, because like one animation can exist in many entities and then okay, so one visualization is made up of many entities. And then one animation can be associated with many entities. And one animation, there's no there's no limit. A single, I mean, an entity can have many animations. An animation can have many entities, and an animation can be part of many visualizations. So, and I even think a whole visualization can have an animation. So that relationship is extremely difficult to map in a table. Um, but I guess maybe not. Maybe we could have a table. I guess that's where these things pay off. Let's see if we can hit back. That's where this pays off to be able to, like, so this is our animation. If we were an animation table, we open it up and then here's a list of everything that it was associated with. I think, yeah, I think that, so that's probably got to be part of the whole delete effort, building an entire new animation table. So entities and then probably animations. But I don't know if I want to do that as part of this effort or if I want to create new stories in the future to do it. I think I want to do it as part of this effort, but I haven't 100% decided. But anyways, in the reading, so the next thing is to next add logic to delete um, any animation associated with a deleted entity. All right, so then I just literally just thought of that just now, right? Like, so basically when I delete this renderer, that renderer may have an animation. When I delete this camera, that camera may have an animation. When I delete this scene, the scene may have an animation. The mesh may. Right now, only meshes have animations, and they only have a single one, although they do have an array. But as I delete things, I guess the animation that is so yeah. See, so right now I could easily write code that tightly couples the idea that the only thing that has an animation is a mesh, and then when I delete the mesh, I need to go and delete animations. But in the future, I'm going to want to have like re some sort of pattern because scenes will definitely have animations, right? Because a scene has a concept of a color, a background color, and the background color is definitely something I would love to be able to animate. Um, for my when you do a when you do like an eclipse visualization, you want to be able to change the background color along with everything else, right? So you want it to go from like background color to go from blue to slowly getting more red and then going to black. So we're gonna have animations on scenes, but right now you can't put an animation on a scene. You don't even have a attribute that can be animated. So so when in the future we're going to be like adding something probably to animate the background color of the scenes, and then at that point when I delete the scene, I need to go and I need to have a pattern that says, hey, what animations are associated with me. And the thing is like, so this is a mesh and it has an animation. Oh, okay, so the mesh has an animation. The animation is the one who's responsible for defining the property. That might have been a mistake, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, probably not. It probably makes a lot of sense. So this property, it says this mesh says, hey, this is for, oh, I'm sorry, let's go to our animation. This animation says it's a for mesh rotation and it's described like this, but it doesn't know what it's assigned to. This guy knows that this is his animation. So this guy needs to be able to say, hey, delete this animation. When you delete me, delete this animation. Then this animation is going to need some way of saying, am I part of anything else? Because I don't want to delete myself until I'm part of anything else. And the reality is you can't even if you were to delete it, all you're deleting is your reference to it. So that just means it gets lost if something else was using that object. Anyways, so for now, add object to delete any animated associated with the delete entity. So basically, so right now that means that when I delete a mesh, I need to iterate over. For some reason, I always want to spell iterate with two T's and two R's, but I believe it's a single T and a single R, and unfortunately, they do not spell check in comments in Visual Studio. There's probably a plugin or something that would do it, but okay, so that is right. All right, that means I need to iterate over um, its animation list, and right now, an animation can only be assigned to one entity, and it's not even an entity. It's an entity. Well, I guess it is an entity. And then it knows its property. So I guess that makes sense. Can only be assigned to one entity, but we will need, we will be assigning them to multiple entities. So I don't want to over-engineer a solution right now, but I don't want to also not leave any room for a solution. So that I think I'm trying to like balance out the best, like the best solution. I think the best solution is to have a function that always returns false that says, am I associated with anything else? It's always going to return false because it can't be associated with anything else. But how it determines whether it's associated with something else, I don't want to try to solution right now. in the future, when whatever I do to create it to where you can add multiple animations to a single, or take an animation and apply it to multiple things. Um, at that, see, right now it'll be pretty easy to iterate, right? Write code to say, hey, I delete my mesh, now iterate, because we've already solutioned this. The other side we haven't solutioned yet. So until I have that solution of, okay, so this mesh is tied to this animation, which is tied to here, but at some point I'm going to want to be able to say this animation is also tied to this mesh here. So instead of 14, this would be 7. So I would have two that say 7 in them, right? This one says 7. And then when I go to delete this one, it needs to be able to determine that, oh no, I'm also being used over here. So don't delete yet. Additionally, so that's an example of two different visualizations sharing a single animation. But within the same visualization, we don't have any lights. But when we do add lights, we will likely want to be able to rotate lights as well. And when that happens, or we could have two meshes inside of a same thing. And so, anyway, so that is that. We have our comment here. This is what I'm trying to do now, is kind of update these readmes to whatever I'm going to do next, but not check that in. See if I can have the discipline to remember to never check that readme in. And I wonder, yeah. So, anyways, that is that. Everybody, happy coding. Have a wonderful day. Bye.